Okay, we are looking at production and operation management, the assignment review. Good evening, everyone. So in this course in Pom, we are looking at this assignment review. Of course, there are just 6 topics in Pom. The first one, we have focused in. Then the other topic that we have is inventory management, which is topic 2. So we have inventory. Okay, then getting into topic 3 is aggregate planning. Yeah. Aggregate planning is the topic that is topic 3. Then the other topic is called material requirement planning, which is MRP. And then topic 5 is master production schedule, which is MPS. Then getting down to topic 6, we have shop floor planning, shop floor planning. And then the last topic in Pom is called quality control. Okay, so these are the only topics that we need to look at as we get down to this course, which is production and operation management. Now, getting down to the question that came in an assignment. This assignment for the part-timers was on the first question is on the aggregate planning. So the question, this one was on aggregate planning. So under this planning, we have 2 strategies involved in aggregate. So this is coming from among the topics, the list that I had given came from here's one. This was question 1 of the assignment. So we can tackle this question, this topic, and we'll get the example from the assignment paper. So now, before getting down to the assignment paper, we need to know what is involved in aggregate planning. So aggregate planning, this one involves a lot. Okay, so under this one, it involves, in a nutshell, it involves workers required. So workers required. It also looks at workers hired. So we have the workers hired. So workers hired. We also looks at workers laid off. We are workers laid off. Of course, for this strategy, we also look at the regular production units. Yeah, yeah, regular production units. Okay, so then of course, we also look at the overtime units. Look at the overtime units. Of course, we also look at the, so we also now look at the subcontracting units. Subcontracting units. Okay, and then of course we also look at the costs of these ones. The cost of subcontracting, the cost of the regular cost, and then so we also look at the costs involved, be it the regular cost, so cost involved, okay? So you are interested in finding out how many workers we can hire and how many workers we can lay off. Now, getting down to the question here, says summer cooperation produces a variety of recreation and leisure products. The production managers developed an aggregate forecast. So the forecast is coming from June, getting down to December. So we have these are the demand forecasts. So we have the forecast of demand. Okay. On this one. So the information has been provided here, okay, to help the development of an aggregate plan, the costs and the capacity involved. So when a regular production cost is $8 per unit, that's on regular production. Then getting down to the overtime production cost is $120 per unit. Then getting down to the subcontracting is $140. So you have to look at which is cheaper between the two. So this one is cheaper than the other one. As we compare these two, overtime is cheaper than subcontracting. Then getting down to the holding cost. The holding cost is also called carrying cost. The holding cost is also called carrying. So this is it's called carrying cost. Carrying cost and holding cost are the same, which is what? We have, it is $10 per unit per month. Then we have the back order cost, which is $20 per unit. The regular capacity is 40 units per month. Overtime capacity is 8 units per month, and subcontracting capacity is 12 units per month. All right, so this is the information that has been given. Now, the beginning stock is 0. The safety stock, the buffer stock, safety stock is also called the buffer stock, kept to cushion on demand units. So it is also 0 units. All right, and then the first requirement is that we need to now get down to the requirement. Develop an aggregate plan using each of the following guidelines and compute the total cost for each plan. So the first one, they want us to use the regular production. We're using the regular production, which means you want us to use this one. Use the regular production. Supplement using inventory. The overtime should be there. Also, subcontracting should be there as needed. No backlogs allowed. In this case, we don't have any backlogs, so no stock out allowed. And we will need an extra output in July and November to accommodate demand in the following months. So we have 12 marks for that. So getting down to the solution here, we know that information has been given. So getting down to the solution, we need to now come and check out what is needed. We have the using regular, and then of course the subcontracting and overtime. So for this one, we can see that using regular, supplement inventory, overtime, and subcontracting, the forecast for demand from June, July through December, these were given. Okay, now on a regular basis, we're supposed to produce 40 units. Let's go back to the table. We're supposed to produce on a regular basis, supposed to produce 40 units. Okay, so we're supposed to produce on a regular basis 40 units. Now, these 40 units on a regular basis, regular capacity is 40 units. The overtime is 8 units. And subcontracting is 12 units. So the demand forecast that we have here, if we were to meet our customers' demand, we need to produce on a regular basis 40 units. And of course, we also, if we are under pressure, we can work overtime and produce a maximum extra 8 units. And if you're under pressure to meet the demand, we're also supposed to produce, to subcontract. We give other people to produce on our behalf 12 units. So as we get to this one, we need to come and check here. We say, oh, I have 40 there, 44, 55, 60, 50, 40, and 51. On a regular basis, we are producing these units, 40 units. So for the beginning inventory, they have told us that it's 0 beginning stock. Now, here we are under pressure to meet the demand by 10 units because we are producing 40. Our demand is 50. So meaning that here we are under pressure to produce 10 units, so we can go for overtime 8 because overtime was cheaper. Our overtime in this question, they're saying overtime production was $120 units, $120 per unit. Subcontracting was $140 per unit. So it was cheaper to subcontract. And regular production capacity is 40 units. It's throughout the month from June to December. We are supposed to produce on a regular basis 40 units to meet demand. Now, when we produce the 40 units to meet the demand, the 40 units is not enough because our demand is 50 in month of June, meaning that we are supposed to go for other alternatives. Overtime was cheaper. Overtime was $120 per unit. Then the other one for subcontracting was $140 per unit. So it's better you allow overtime for all the units for June so that we have 48. We produce this 40 plus a 2 there for subcontracting and 8 for overtime because it was cheaper for overtime. Otherwise, if overtime was more expensive than subcontracting, would have actually subcontracted the 8 units. It would have been opposite. Would have subcontracted the 8 units and overtime would have been 2 units. So here we have 50 units to meet our demand. So that demand is met. All right, in June. July, we produced the 40 units. What was just needed was 4 units to meet the demand. So we had to allow overtime only, no subcontracting. In the month of August, the regular production was 40 units. Our demand was 55. So meaning overtime would have been 8, subcontracting 7, so that the 15 plus 40 gives us 55. Getting down to September, our production is 40. Then we would have allowed overtime 8, and then our subcontracting would have been 15. Then this comes to the 60 units that we need. All right, then in October, our regular production is 40, and then our demand is 50. So meaning our overtime would have been 8, and then subcontracting 2 units, meaning that we would have had the 50 to meet our demand of 50 units. In November, our regular production is 40. Then we don't have to allow overtime, and then no overtime, no subcontracting because we are at par. In December, we have the regular production of 40 units, but we need to meet the target of 51 units. What is going to happen? We can allow overtime 8 units because we need to make sure that we meet our demand. So overtime could have gone for 8. Maximum overtime is 8. We can't go beyond that according to the instruction in the question. Our overtime, according to the overtime capacity, is 8, and then subcontracting is 12. Even if our subcontracting is 12, we cannot finish all of them because we are looking at how many units we need to produce at that time for us to meet our demand. So meaning that our subcontracting would have been 8, so that we have 11 plus the 40, that gives us 51. So total production are these figures that we have. Now, from here, we are told that no backlogs allowed. So we now supposed to do a regular production it is the cost is $80 on a regular basis for our regular production. Okay, so on our regular production, we have the $80 per unit. That is on a regular basis. The overtime is $120, subcontracting is $140. So from here, it's just a matter of now getting down to the multiplication. So the regular basis is 40 units. And then we have the cost of $80 there. Then overtime is $120. Okay, so we allowed overtime of 8 there, 4 in that week. Then we had overtime of 8 in these months, August through to October, and 8 on December there. So the multiplying each of these ones for overtime, we have that one there. In this month, we didn't have any overtime. Here we had an overtime of these units from above there. This is how we are getting down to these overtime costs. Then from here now, we can aggregate and find the total overtime cost. So total overtime, first and foremost, of course, we know we have also our regular production, which is 40 units, multiplying this one by 80. The 80 is actually the standard rate of regular production, $80 per unit. So it's giving us throughout of 3,200 because we produce the 40 units in each month. So our regular production is giving us $22,400. Then getting down to the overtime, aggregating the overtime amount, it gave us also here we can aggregate here. On the overtime is 5 to 8. So 5 to 8. We are just making sure that we are producing to meet our demand units. And of course, so this one is 22, and adding all these costs is 22. This is a regular, so it's 22,400. That is on the regular basis. Then the other one for subcontracting, we only subcontracted in a few months. In June, 2 units, August, 7 units, September, 12 units, October, 2 units, and December, 3 units. So our subcontracting multiplying by the rate of subcontracting, which is the $140, our subcontracting cost came to $3,640. So $3,640. This is just about what is needed as we compute this, because we are trying to make sure that we are producing here to meet our demand forecast. So on a regular basis, there were restrictions. We're supposed to go only for 40 units. Then these other ones, we would have allowed overtime depending on which weeks, which month that we could have allowed overtime. Then for subcontracting, we can only subcontract when we have exhausted all the overtime units. So we can now subcontract that other manufacturers can help us, that we get the units that we need to meet our demand of 50 units, since we are only making 40 units per month, and over time we could have you can't go beyond 8 units. So this is about what is going on. And subcontracting is 2 units. So this is according to the way we have this breakdown. So the total cost of this plan came to $31,320. This is the total cost of this plan, the first one, that is. Okay, so that's the total cost of that plan. is actually that amount. Okay, of course, there is this other one. This one, there was a minor variation here, and the variation is as a result of the fact that the most important thing to note here is that this one that we are doing now is more accurate because we've taken down into the evaluation of how we are finding the total production, which is coming to, we are producing as per demand. So we were producing as per demand based on the fact that we had the breakdown for regular production of 40 units. Then, of course, we had also the breakdown of overtime and, of course, the subcontracting, which should tally to giving us the total production units per what? Per given month. So the variation that could have come here is that for this one, we have the aspect of looking at the regular basis, which was okay. This one was okay on the regular basis. All right, though the first one was okay, the 8 and the 2, these ones were okay, except that in the April, we could not, of course, even here, the months are starting from March. The original question, the months are starting from June, getting down June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So now here's one, there's the 8, which shouldn't be there because we are producing to meet our demand of 44. So meaning that the overtime would have only been 4, not the 8. So that could have, that's the reason why this is affected. And then in this other one, there is actually the 8 should be there, though the overtime, so the subcontracting is supposed to be 7, so that we can meet our target of 55 units. Then this one is okay because we have the 8 at this point and the 12 at this point, which is making us the demand of 60, which is all right. So here there are discrepancies in this one. So this one is a discrepancy. So then the other one here, there was no subcontract and overtime because here we are producing at par to meet the demand. And then here we are supposed to actually meet our forecast of 51. So there was aspect of 40 units, 8, and then subcontracting would have been 3. So this is as a result of the discrepancy. The 3,200 is okay throughout here and giving us 22,400, which is according to the breakdown of this one. Okay, so this is about what is going on here. So we have this one is what we are simply saying this is correct because we are taking into account the subcontracting and overtime. So the total cost is 31,320. Now, using the level for the second one, where they are simply saying that we need to use the other component, use a level strategy. Use a level strategy. So use it.
Is it Mr. Collins?
Yes, please.
Yes. Before you go ahead, I want to understand the hint. What does it mean?
Repeat your question again.
the hint, this hint here where they said you need extra output in July and November to accommodate demand in the following months. What does that mean?
So they are simply saying you need you will need extra output in July and November. So if we go back to July, July and November, we may need an extra what? Output. Okay, so extra output simply means the output is a production. So you may need an extra production. Okay. If you go back to the question here, you're simply saying you need an extra, you will need extra output in July and November to accommodate demand in the following months. So for upcoming months, it's not mandatory. You will need. Okay. So of course it is showing us the aspect of what we are doing. Like if we can check July, we are done because we have for July we have produced 40 units, of course, and then an extra output. We're very sure that we're mentioning about you going for overtime. Okay, we haven't met our demand, so we can go for overtime so that you meet the demand for these other months. So we have overtime of 4 because we couldn't meet our demand of 44 units. This was our demand. So we had, in fact, almost in every month, we had an extra output because we had overtime and subcontracting. That's what it means, because on a level basis, we are producing a regular basis of 40 units, which was not enough to meet our demand. So we need an extra production so that we meet the demand. Have you answered your question?
Okay. Yes.
Because with our regular basis, we are producing, let's say from 8 hours until 16 hours, we're supposed to knock off, and you have produced 40 units on these ones. Now, what happens is you are supposed to meet the demand of these up there, the forecast. So you need an extra output. So meaning you be forced to work overtime, that you need to actually now produce to meet our demand, those ones on top. So this is just about what this means. All right. So we now getting down to the other part B, using the level of production, subcontracting, overtime, and back order. So back order simply means this one, the same as the stock out units. So stock out units. Okay, so stock out units is the same as back order units. Now, as we get down to the back order, there's a level. Yeah. So there's a.
At this point, are there any questions?
No, I think I've understood now, because the hint was what was giving me issues, but now I've understood.
All right. So this is just about what this one is. This is how this one goes. So we are just trying now to get to the other strategy, where we are looking at use a level strategy, a combination of the backlogs, which is the stock out costs, as well as the subcontracting, the overtime, and the inventory. Okay, I'm sure you're getting it, not so? Excuse me, are people with me?
Yes.
Okay, so now we are
following.
okay, all right. So now we're getting down to the other one. Use a level strategy and use a combination of the backlogs, the subcontracting, the overtime, and then the inventory to handle variations in demand, to handle variations, which means the differences in demand. And then they've told us that there should not be any backlog in the final period, which is in this case, the final period is December. So there shouldn't be any backlog in the final period. So what it means here is that we are supposed to go back to the boundaries, but before that, we need to first and foremost get down to the level production. So our level production, the formula here is that on the level basis, level production should be summation of demand. So there's a breakdown here. Let me just show you the breakdown. We can. So you need to produce on a level basis. So when we're getting down to level production, our level production is equal to, okay, so level production is equal to summation of demand, then minus beginning stock. So minus the beginning stock. Then you divide this one by the number of periods. So this is what goes on. So our summation of demand, we can sum up the demand units. So when summing up the demand, we have to go back here and sum up the demand. So the demand are these ones. So let's sum them up, all these. And then they have told us that the beginning stock is actually what? 0. So we're going to find the level of production where we are summing up the demand for all these, then minus the beginning stock. So the summation of demand, we are going to say it is the 50, then plus the 44, then plus what? The 55, then plus what? The 60, then plus what? The 50, then plus what? The 40, then plus what? The 51, then minus the 0, then you divide by how many? By 7. So it will give us the 350. Then you divide this one by what? By 7. The answer is what? 50. So this is on our level basis, on the level production. So our total production here should give us here, we are not producing as per demand, we are producing on the level basis. So our total production comes to, okay, so our total production comes to 50. That is on our level basis. So now from here, what goes on is that we, as much as we know, is that on a level basis, a regular was supposed to produce 40 units, okay? But the total should come to 50 in this one. We are not producing as the first one. In the first one, we are producing to meet the demand. So we had a breakdown of the overtime and subcontracting. Now, for the second one, we are producing using the level production, which is this one. Using level strategy, summation of demand minus beginning stock over the number of periods. So level production is giving us 350 units. Here we need to, or we should produce the total units of 50. We should have 50 units total production. So meaning that on a regular basis, we're producing 40 units, okay? Using the regular basis, we are producing the 40 units, okay? It is a breakdown of the total production. Of the regular basis, you're supposed to produce 40 units using the regular basis, 40 units on the regular capacity, as well as the subcontracting, and these other factors should be considered. So from a total production of 50, from a total production of 50 units, we are supposed to now say, okay, fine, we're supposed to produce the total of 50 units. And then meaning that from the total 50 production, the overtime should be constant. It should be 888, so that we have 888, and the 2 here, it will come up to 40. So 40 plus the 8 plus the 2, it will give us a total production of 50 units per month. All right. Now, what this one is telling us is that we know for sure that we are supposed to meet the demand. So 50, total production 50 units to meet the demand of 50 units. We are going to remain with ending stock of 0. Okay. And how do we get ending stock? Our ending stock. So our ending stock, the formula for ending. So ending stock. So ending stock is equal to opening stock, then plus the production, then minus the demand. So this is on how we get to our ending stock. Okay, so ending stock is equal to beginning stock plus production minus the demand. So for this given question, our opening stock was 0. Then we produced 50 units to meet the demand of 50. We ended with 0. 0 is the opening stock in July, plus how many units we've produced? We've produced 50. So we add these two, beginning plus production minus the demand. We are going to have the ending stock of 6. So this the total of 50 is that it has a breakdown. A regular basis we are producing. Regular basis we are producing Nuclear basis, we are producing 40 units. Okay, we're producing 40 units, meaning that from the 50, we need to have 8 units. We need to have 8 units for us to actually meet the demand of 50 units. So this is how the breakdown is made. So this, from the 50, there's a breakdown. This is number 1 breakdown. There's a 40 units there from here. Then there's 8 here, this is number 2. As we add here, and this is number 3. When we add these productions from the regular 40 plus overtime 8 and subcontracting 2 throughout, meaning that we are going to have the total. When we add these, it will come back to 50 that we are producing on a level basis. And here the reason why we have the 120 is because of the fact that there's an aspect of cheaper way of overtime. Subcontracting was more expensive. That's why we subcontracted fewer than the overtime. So we have that. Now, the ending stock, go to beginning stock plus production minus the demand. So after adding these two, minus the August demand, we have 1. This one is ending, which will be the beginning stock in September, plus the production of 50, minus the demand of okay, so this is what we have. So meaning here the ending stock is -9, which will be the beginning stock in October. And then we add these two to meet the demand of 50. We are getting a negative. This is negative, which simply means the stock out, because we have tried our best to make sure that we meet our demand, that we are failing to meet the demand because of the fact that we have a negative here, which means it's a backlog with the stock out cost. That's why it says back orders are allowed, but not at the end of the period. No back orders should be allowed at the end of the 5th period. We shouldn't have any back order at the end. In the question, this is clear. It is stated that no back orders are allowed. There should be no backlog in the final period. All right, so this is about what this assignment paper was, because this is on aggregate planning, the first part of this question. So here, this one is now -9 plus 50 minus 40 demand. We are getting 1 ending is the beginning stock there. So the add this one, we clearly know that we don't have any backlogs, 0 backlog. We only have backlogs in September and October. That's when we have the backlog. All right, so this is about what we have. And then, yeah, so this is just about what we have on that one. So from there, we can see our backlog. Our backlogs are in the month of September and October. This is where we have the backlogs. So what this one entails is that we need now to calculate the regular cost, 40 multiplied by 80 units. We are getting these ones. These are our regular production costs. Of course, overtime was constant. It was 8 units by 120. Then we also know that subcontracting was the constant. So we have our subcontracting of 2 units. So this is the way we are trying to find the cost of this other strategy, the level strategy. Of course, we have gotten the subcontracting of 280 throughout. From there, we can now find the backlogs. So back order cost was $20 from the question. The back order cost was actually $20. So back order cost was $20 per unit. So we had this back order is also called the stock out. We tried our best that we could, but we failed to meet the demand in some months. We failed to meet the demand in September and October, which was unfortunate. So this is the reason why we are looking at this one. So from here, we can look at the regular cost now, the totals here on the regular basis. We have 22,400, meaning after adding all these ones, this one, this one, this one, after adding all these costs, we have the regular cost of 22,400. And then overtime cost, we have these ones here on our overtime. So these are overtimes that we are having here. The overtime cost was actually 6,720, meaning that as we aggregate these ones, we are getting our overtime of the addition of these ones. Subcontracting is just as good as just getting down to these ones here, the 280 throughout up to the far end. So meaning that our subcontracting is 1960, 6,720, 22,400. The back order cost was just in the month of September and October, meaning that our back order is 360. Then of course we had holding cost. Our holding cost, we had physical stock in the month of on this month. We had the physical stock in July. We had the physical stock in August. We had a physical stock of 1 in November. So 8 units as physical stocks. Then 8 units, then multiply those 8 units by 8 units per month. Of course, the holding cost per unit is $10. The holding cost per unit is $10. So meaning that this is coming to the 8. Okay, 8 units in total by 8. So this is giving us 31,520. So this is an hint there for the ending stock. Ending stock is equal to beginning stock plus total production minus what? Minus the demand. So this is on the way we need to get down to the aspect of ending inventory. Yeah, so this is about how this one, this answer was found. So getting down to this one here, there's this one, it is giving us 31,520, same as the one we found. So this one is okay. The final answer should be 31,520 on the total cost. All right, so the total cost we should have 31,520. We had a back order of 180 in this month, and then the other one of 180 in that month, of course. And then holding costs will be 80. This is actually proving this is okay. This part here is okay. So this is about the aggregate planning that we've looked at, unless there are questions so far. If people understood this one, then well and good. Because what we need is that the second part of the question was on MRP. So I need to come and introduce this topic first and foremost. Then that's when we need to come and do question 2, so that I give the brief background of what this topic is about, the MRP. Then from there, we'll be able now to come and tackle question 2 of this assignment paper. Is it okay so far? Are people following?
Yes, it is okay.
So I've just clarified, because I mentioned from the time we started that this poem has a number of topics, so we shouldn't be going haphazardly. So like the question 1 was on aggregate planning, which I've explained, on how you hire, you fire, and all that. Then the other part of the question 2 of the assignment was on MRP. So during the other class, we'll be able to come and do MRP question 2, so that I give the theories of material requirement planning, the components found. From there now, we'll be able to do the review of question 2. For now, we've done the review of question number 1 in terms of the cost allocation, why we found these costs, how did we get this cost here, and how did we get the cost of the other strategy, which is the level strategy. So for the second one, the level strategy is 31,520. So this is about what is involved in this production operation management. This is aggregate planning, one of the topics in POM. If there are any questions, you can ask questions so far. Or if there are no questions, you go through the same recording. I think Mr. Job will be able to share this one with you. All right. So we can end the class for now.
Okay, thank you, Collins.